Welcome to Raw Tea Sessions, a space where we have the real, unfiltered conversations that people keep locked up.
And drink tea.
Yes, and drink tea. Tonight, it is another true Southern sweet tea, but it really wasn't that hot today.
Kinda, it warmed up.
It wasn't hot. Different definitions. Anyway,
We are two survivors of childhood sexual abuse. We are choosing to speak out about what many people spend their whole lives trying to hide.
yeah. We want this to be a place where survivors feel seen, understood, and empowered.
And we want to show you God's love in a way that you may never have seen it before.
This podcast isn't just about what happened to us.
Not at all. It's about grief, anger, hard conversations, learning, growth, healing, and reclaiming who we are.
And our hope is being able to help you do the same.
So, who's ready for the real story?
Today's topic is about how difficult the system makes it for sexual abuse victims.
The two of us have unique stories, and we know there are so many stories like that.
Yeah, out there and different. And oh my gosh, lots of people have experienced the same difficulties.
Oh, yeah.
And while there's many supports in place for this process, as a community, we still have a long way to go.
A long way to go.
Yeah.
It's not even funny.
And really, the system needs a lot of work to become more effective. And what's that word you used? Just.
Yes.
Just.
So, I had a CPS case when I was about 13. I had told somebody who I went to church with what happened to me, hoping to relate to them so they didn't feel alone because they were talking about abuse that they had gone through as well.
Okay.
And they decided to report it to CPS.
They took it as.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like a week and a half after I had said something to them, CPS had come to my house and told my parents that they were going to be under investigation, and their interview was in about 2 hours.
They warned them.
They did.
They gave them a heads up.
Uh-huh.
What'd they do with that warning?
They sat me down and asked me questions on if I had talked to anybody or said anything to anybody, and I was 13. I really couldn't remember. I was like, no, I don't think so.
Because it was just a casual conversation to you.
Right.
You weren't actually trying to.
Right. So both my parents, or my mom had found out about 9 months earlier than that. And she gave me the option to press charges against my father or let him stay around and be a father to my younger brothers.
Oh, those were your options.
Yeah.
Okay. Leading it all.
Yeah.
Right.
Which are not options that I believe a child should have.
Right. No, not options a 13-year-old is equipped to have. Not options a 16-year-old is equipped to have.
I mean, big family decisions like that, not options that an 18-year-old should have.
Right. That is absolutely up to the parent to make that right choice. Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
Not because it's the easy thing to do. So, obviously, you made your choice.
I did. I chose for my brothers to keep their father. And then during my interview, everyone was cooperative but hesitant, except me.
Oh.
All of their questions that they asked, I either answered yes or no, and then more in-depth questions, I responded with either silence or yes or no. I had my arms crossed, my head down. I was very angry that they were there.
So it was clear that you were not happy with this process.
Correct. Which, if they were a good CPS worker, they would have picked up on that. Strange.
Yeah. Oh, and taken that as information itself and kept it open. Did they keep it open?
They did not. About a month and a half later, we went to the police station to write out our statements because the CPS case had closed with no heavy evidence, no
findings.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then throughout the month and a half that the case was open, the only precaution that was taken into place was that my dad couldn't be alone at home with any of us young children without another adult.
Oh, okay. So supervised visits only.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, the adult was his mother, who he also told the abuse about, but
Okay.
it's neither here nor there.
Well, kind of.
um, so I wrote in my statement that I was never abused, and that was prior rehearsed with my family.
Right. That was planned out.
It was.
Do you know what your parents wrote in theirs?
I do. My dad wrote that when I was little, he used to tuck me into bed, and then at some point, I started acting weird about it.
Okay, so that was his excuse for
Mhm.
everything.
Yep.
Okay.
And then my mom's statement was that I started being unhappy with assistants in the bath at a very young age. So I just got weird when they would help me take a bath.
And that's why you were talking about it.
Right.
Okay, so they excused it all away and wrote it down, and then it was it. Brushed, boom, boom, boom. CPS did their job.
Yep.
Done deal.
Yep.
Signed. Gone.
Which, in fact, what was happening, and by the age of 13, had stopped briefly.
Mm, yeah.
The last time I was abused was when I was 13. But what was actually happening behind those closed doors
Yeah.
was my dad abused me orally and with touching and with things like that. He would pleasure himself with using my body.
Mhm.
So it was not a case well done, you know?
Right. Right. No, good job.
Nope.
You saved a child.
Right. And then on last week's podcast, I talked about how I made the decision that was best for my family, but ultimately was also the best decision for my abuser.
Which is crazy to think about that. That's so not only were you pressured into making that decision, but then the adults who are in charge, who are supposed to be the ones fixing this,
Mhm.
allowed it.
Not.
Despite clear body language.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
yeah.
Prior to us going to the police station, about an hour, they took me to the monastery.
Oh, okay. Put you in the right frame.
Yeah, and I often look back at that and wonder why. Like, is it that they wanted me to believe that that God thought that I was making the wrong choice? That is an interesting take on religious manipulation.
Yes. Yeah. Here, look, God wants our family to stay together. This is what would be pleasing to God. No words are even needed at that point. It's
There
look,
was
we're
no
a happy
words.
family in the monastery.
Yeah.
Don't break this up.
Oh yeah. That's exactly how it felt.
Wow. So again, check mark. Adults failed you.
Yep.
Both the adults in charge of the system and the adults directly in your life.
Mhm.
So I don't really have a CPS case because when I told my mom, I have a little bit of a similar situation to you in that she immediately sent me on to my little club that I was going to and went home and quote unquote dealt with my dad. And I had a little brother also. My dad moved out and he moved into his camper at a friend's house. And he was gone for like 2 to 3 months. And then during that, my little brother, who was significantly younger, like 9 years younger than me, and I think I was 12 at the time, that I originally, well, we'll go back to that, but that I said something. Um, and so when he was gone, it was the concept of my little brother didn't have a dad in the home, right? And then after like 3 months, she said, okay, are you ready for him to come back? And it was never reported. It was never turned in. It was never anything because I only told her. I didn't say it to anyone else at that point. So, yeah, of course I'm ready for him to come back. I mean, Blake needed a dad. My brother needed a dad. So, of course, right? That's the only right decision for a 12 and 13-year-old is no, I'm not going to split my family up. I'm not going to be the reason for that. Now, later on in life, I found out that at 3 years old, I had also told a preschool teacher. And that went nowhere. And we'll go into all the other stuff that happened all between that of all the reasons why people should have seen it. But at the same time, people saw it. Once told my mom, people knew. And that was it. He was out for a few months.
Just out of your house.
Out of my house,
Yeah.
right. And they had my brother and I go to counseling together, a 12-year-old and a 3-year-old.
So did the counselor know?
The counselor knew.
That's a mandated reporter.
It was a Christian church counselor.
Maybe not.
I think he was. He was a certified he
Okay.
it was an actual counseling center without the naming the name of it. It was a very popular Christian counseling center.
So did you go to the counselor even after your dad came back?
Nope. That was it.
Okay.
Just went during that time, and it was more things like what makes a house versus a home, like that sort of stuff. Wasn't anything in depth.
Gross.
And he was part of the process of him coming back. When my mom asked if I was okay with that, that was in the counselor's office.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Wow. So the
So,
counselor made reconciliation possible.
right, because it's a Christian home.
Mhm.
You need to have an intact family to be a good Christian home, right?
Disgusting.
Mm-hmm. And at that point, I say at that point as if that ever changed. But my mom was very concerned with how our family looked, right? So that was her ultimate goal, is that our family come back
Mhm.
together, because that's what looks good. That's what looks good to the church. That's what looks good to her coworkers. That's what looks good to everyone.
Right.
So that was my CPS case. And then nothing, my non-existent CPS case, although I do think there was a slight one at 3, but I don't actually know details about that.
Well, later in my process, I decided that I would like to take more action.
Mm-hmm.
One of my brothers was grown and out of the house, and the other brother was still present, but old enough.
Right. A little more self-sufficient, not a
Yeah.
baby anymore.
Right. Same age difference. There's 10 years in between me and my littlest brother.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a conversation with my father, and the state that we live in allows um, one person in the audio consenting, then it's liable evidence, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I recorded our conversation where he openly admitted to abusing me as a little girl and 3 other little girls.
Okay. Wow. And
Uh,
that's recorded.
It is.
Yeah.
I have that.
Yep.
And I took it to the police in the county that I was abused in because my father had made a statement that he wanted to remarry and have more children.
Oh,
And I do not want anybody else to be like me.
right. Right. So there was motivation right there.
Yep. So I took it to the police station hoping to get him put on the registered sex offenders list.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I found out the details of my parents' statements in the
Okay.
CPS case. And they said because that case was closed and no findings or anything, that they can't do anything based off of the span of time that it has been.
Oh. So yet again, they're tying your hands.
Yep. And then about a year and a half later, I decided to look into it further and try and get anything that makes my dad visible to everyone else as he should have been held accountable for.
Yes, so like a warning, so that people could look him up and see that this is a
There's something
possibility.
wrong.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I tried to get a restraining order, I tried to get a protection order, and I tried pretty much everything I could, right?
Mhm.
All the way down to talking to the victim's advocate district attorney. And with all the information that she gathered in my testimony, she is the one person who would know what to do and where to go with this.
Right, right.
Said
Yeah.
that there's nothing that they can do. That he will walk a free man for the rest of his life.
So essentially, our system, with everything in place, really just kind of puts their hand over our mouths.
Even with his testimony of doing it,
Yeah.
there's nothing criminally that can happen. Absolutely nothing.
And that's something that needs to change.
100%.
And we cannot be the only people with a story like that.
Nope.
We're not. I know we're not. And that's the saddest part.
Mhm.
So mine's a little different, the second part of it, in that mine did get prosecuted, but not for me.
Mm.
So after he came back to the home, then um and at this point that's all I knew, is that I was involved and that's it. He's back, he's home, he's all that. 2 years later, he was arrested for abusing a neighbor,
Oh my gosh. A child.
a child, another 12-year-old little girl.
Oh my gosh.
And at that point, come to find out, there were 6 other people, but they were all family. So they had all been hushed all along.
Disgusting.
1, 2, 3 of them being significantly older than me, with the abuse occurring prior to my birth, even.
Mhm.
And then the others around my age.
Wow.
And the only reason I found out all about that is because then during his court case, because the neighbors who couldn't be silenced, right? Family can be. Family we've got, right? I mean, they can manipulate, they can, but the neighbor could not be. So during that court case and during all of that, it came out, some of the other family members that had been abused spoke out at it and said,
On the neighbor's behalf.
not on the neighbor's behalf, on the this is his case record. This is his, and I'm we've touched on this, a little bit older than you. So the statute of limitations were different at that point. So they were outside of statute of limitations where they wouldn't be now under that same circumstance.
Mm.
So that's a good change that has happened, right? But at the time they were outside of it, but it was more of like character reference, right? Yeah, like this person and this person. There's 6 of us that have been involved. This is a
But like against your dad.
yes,
Wow.
against my dad.
So here we are with 7 people or 6 people in total?
Six people and then the neighbor.
So 7 girls in total. And what was your father prosecuted for?
Abuse of just the neighbor,
Oh my god.
touching, and 2 months in jail.
That's
Maybe 3, I don't know because it was a while ago, but yeah.
not even a slap on the wrist. That's just
Nope.
a finger in your face saying no, no.
And temporarily on a registry when he came back out of jail, which by the way, I visited him every Saturday.
Oh gosh.
But when he came back, it was okay. Like, I remember he couldn't be alone with any children other than my brother and I.
Why was that okay?
But for a while, we were mildly inconvenienced by the fact that he couldn't be alone with anyone else. But I think it was like a year,
right.
and he was on that registry.
Probation.
Yeah, yeah.
So who guided you to go and see your father every Saturday?
My mom took my brother and I.
Against your better judgment.
Well, I mean, I was 13 and 14 and 15 years old. What judgment did I have? What choice did I have in the matter?
Had you?
Had I had a choice, I wouldn't have gone.
Mm.
But it broke my heart seeing him there. And that was the weirdest manipulation of all of it, right? Is that I was made to feel sad and feel bad for him in the position he was in. The position that he created
Literally.
for himself.
Literally.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a messed up system.
It is.
It's definitely not in favor of the victim.
Nope. And if there were things that we could do about it, I would in a heartbeat.
But I think we are. I think that's what these conversations are.
Yeah.
And I know that's our goal. That's what our heart is to reach people and
Make
say
the
you're
world
not
better.
alone. And hey, the right person hears the right thing, and all of a sudden we've got a petition. I mean, neither of us are lawyers. We don't know what we're talking about. Pretend, right?
So the only advice I would have to people now who's listening to this and who has the ability is do it.
Do it.
Do it right now. Don't wait a single day. If you have it in your heart to do it, if that's what you want to do, that if you think justice is due to you in your situation, do it right now. Because throughout my entire process of talking to all of the police officers and the justice system and lawyers and things like that, every single person I spoke to, I felt like they put duct tape over my mouth, turned me away, and
Hmm.
that
And
was
if one person tells you no, try another.
it. Mhm.
Try the next line. I mean, you tried several lines of defense and wound up getting to the top person that would know
Right.
and still got turned down. But at that point, I mean, that would be a place that people could go as the victim advocate at the DA's office. Um, but yes, if you are at all questioning, do it now before your hands are tied.
Because it's not fun being on the other side of that.
No, not at all. So if you are a survivor listening to this, we want you to know you're not alone.
And so many survivors grow up carrying guilt, shame, and so much more.
And none of that is theirs to carry. None of that is ours to carry.
Absolutely. Healing is possible and so worth everything it takes to get there.
We love you. God loves you. And we are not giving up on this journey with you.
If you or someone you know is a survivor and needs support, RAIN Network is a great first step and is available anytime to you at
1-800-656-HOPE, or you can text HOPE to 64637.
If you have any questions or comments, you can find us at Unfiltered Tea Podcast on TikTok.
Or our email at rawteasessions@gmail.com.
Until next time, see ya. Bye.